Hey, yo, brothers, I'm watching NBA Countdown. They're talking about Ja Morant. Ja Morant recently went to a nightclub and he pulled out a firearm on camera. Brothers, there's a reason why the scriptures tell us to be vigilant and sober. Because when you are drunk and high, or drunk and high at the same time, just drunk or just high, it alters the state of your mind. You are no longer thinking clearly. You are no longer thinking soberly. There's no way you can tell me that Ja Morant would have done this if he was sober. And more than likely, I don't think that marijuana does this. Marijuana doesn't make you think like this. Alcohol makes you think like this. I'm sure there was a marijuana element in his system, but I believe this was more so alcohol. He was probably drunk, having a good time. And brothers, there's nothing wrong with having a good time. There's nothing wrong with drinking per se. But in general, this is the problem with promoting drugs and alcohol. It leads to making bad decisions. A lot of the worst decisions that we've made in our lives and people have made in their lives have been when they were drunk. Just calling it what it is. When you are drunk, you don't care as much. It lowers your inhibitions. You do things that you would not do sober. You say things that you would not say sober. You are no longer sober. To you brothers out there that like to blow bag and stuff like that, a lot of people think that they become smarter and deeper thinkers when they're high. You do not become a smarter or deeper thinker when you're high. There is a difference between high thoughts and my thoughts. It's just simple as that. You think differently. You have to learn how to operate in a sober mind and a sober state of being. And Ja Morant, I think this is a good thing that this is happening to him. I truly do. But I'm going to tap into this, man.
Anytime, this is certainly something that pretty much everyone around the NBA world and beyond has thoughts on. Stephen A., we'll start with you. What are yours?
Well, I want to first say that I want to preface my comments by saying that I'm really proud of the statement that Ja Morant put out. It was necessary. It was apropos.
I did not read the statement that Ja Morant put out. I saw it, on Instagram or whatever, but I really didn't even pay any attention to it because I understand this is all about PR. It's all about, changing the narrative. You have to put out a statement after something like that. What is he supposed to say? I don't give a damn. I can do whatever I want. Like, what? Yeah, of course he's going to put out an apology. I'm pretty sure his PR team, his father, and things of that nature helped him put together a statement, to respond to this whole situation.
No doubt about that. And I want to make sure that Ja Morant, his family, his friends, and everybody understands that all of us up here are fans of his. And anything that we say, myself, Will Bond, Jalen Rose, Woj, anybody, we're saying it in the best interest of his future. I covered Allen Iverson for the first 10 years of his career.
First of all, two things. Stephen A. Smith said in the best interest of his future. We have to think about the future of black boys, man. By the time you are a grown man, you have to fall down and get up because a brother I used to work with, man, he used to tell me all the time, man. Like, hey, yo, man, you can't tell a grown person, S-H-I-T. That's the words I'm going to use, man. You can't tell a grown person nothing, brothers. Once someone is grown, you have to let them make their own decisions. You have to let them live life on their own and figure out things on their own. So by the time a person is grown, like Ja Morant, they have to be humble. There's no way that you can protect him. You can't coddle him. You can't think about his future. He has to think about his own future. He's a grown man. This man has a child. Ja Morant has a child. Ja Morant is a father. So understand something, brothers. This man is a father. This man has a child. That's what I'm saying, man. This is the problem in the black community. You got brothers out here that are 18, 19 years old, getting women pregnant. 18, 19 years old, having babies. Don't matter. You got all the money in the world, and you can provide for your child financially. And that still hasn't changed anything. Everybody's talking about money, 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 money. We need to get that bag in the black community. And don't get me wrong, we do need money. We do need finances. Economy is very important. But we need to establish a cultural paradigm in the black community. What is expected of the black man? What is expected of the black woman? And what will happen is black boys and black girls will look at those examples and they will follow them. Simple, man. Simple. This man has a child. This man has a child, man. He can't do stupid stuff like this, man. He's more than likely he's going to raise his daughter up to be attracted to some type of hood dude, or she's gonna be some type of Instagram personality, more than likely an Instagram model. She's the daughter of a superstar NBA player, man. She's just gonna be an Instagram model, maybe even an Instagram thotty. I'm just calling it what it is. I don't wish that on her. But look at this society. This is what happens. And Stephen A. Smith is about to jump into this Allen Iverson topic of conversation, which I think is relevant because I've made videos before about John Morant being the modern day Allen Iverson and things of that nature. And as far as play style and things of that nature, you know, I see a lot of other players that John Morant's game reminds me of, and I think that John Morant, honestly, if he's focused and locked in on basketball, I think that he has a Jordan ceiling, as Kendrick Perkins said. Kendrick Perkins said that. You know, he has a Jordan ceiling. I really do see it if he locks in and focuses on the game. But I doubt it, so I don't think he's going to make it to that Jordan level. But I'm tie back into this.
Every day. And when I tell you that was a beat in and of itself, Woj knows what I'm talking about with that. Everybody knows what I'm talking about there. It was a different level, okay? But when you look at Ja Morant, the one thing that I find incredibly alarming, there was so much stuff that Allen Iverson took hits for that had nothing to do with him, but everything to do with the company he kept. And because from the streets, very loyal.
Yo, yo, bruh. Brothers, the scriptures tell you, he that walketh with wise men shall become wiser, but a companion of fools will be destroyed. You are who you hang around with, man. Can two walk together except they be agreed? At the end of the day, who are you around? And ask yourself, why are you around them? What brings y'all together? What do y'all have in common? If you are around a bunch of gang-banging, hoodlums, thuggish, ruggish bone type dudes, somebody has to be around John Morant that is smart enough and aware enough to tell him, bro, what are you doing? Bro, why are you bringing a gun on you? Why?
Ain't diming out anybody. He take a lot of hits. In this particular instance, that's Ja on film. That's Ja that you see on the TMZ video. He had no choice but to own that, to be honest with you.
I don't even know if the brother remembered himself doing that. Like, he was so probably drunk and high out of his mind that he wasn't even thinking about it. That's what he needs help for. That's why it says, I'm going to take some time away to get help. That's what it says in his quote or his statement, his apology or whatever. Time to get help. What help do you need, John Morant? Clearly he has a problem with drugs and alcohol. Just speculation, pure speculation. But it seems like he has a problem with drugs and alcohol. I would not be surprised if John Morant blows weed, blows bag heavily. He comes across as that type of guy.
So I applaud him for embracing that. But when you bring into account the other incidences, let me look in the camera and say what I'm about to say to John Morant. You are a superstar. You're 23 years old. You got a deal that kicks in next year that could exceed $231 million over the next 5 years.
And he's going to get that. He's going to get that. And that's one of the problems with athletes. Anybody in corporate America, if they would have done something like this, they probably would have been fired on the spot. They would have been fired. They'd have been terminated from their position. But as an athlete or an entertainer, you're allowed to do idiotic things like this and get second, third, fourth, and fifth chances because of the amount of money and revenue that you can generate playing basketball. And this is why I do not take athletes serious. I do not care what they have to say about anything outside of basketball because of the entitlement that exists within entertainment. You can get away with literally anything. Once again, this is good for John Morant. He needs to be humbled. I think in order for him to take his game to that next level, he's going to have to be severely humbled. It's going to take something like that. I'm glad it's not going to be an injury. Hopefully it's not an injury that humbles him. And when I said humbled, really, I just think that he's going to have to go through some playoff series where he gets knocked down on his behind and realizes, damn, I got to go back in the gym, work on my game, get better, get bigger, and more physical, stronger. Because I do think John Morant is going to have to put on some weight if he wants to truly take his game to that next level. But in general, I think this might help him too. because the game is just as much mental as it is physical. And I think it's important that he takes his game to that next level mentally, not just physically. So him being away from the team for a few weeks or a few days, whatever, a few games, that can help him, man. Maybe that'll take time for him to reflect, and he can come back and start trying to rebrand himself, rebuild himself, and change the narrative around who he is as a person and who he is as a leader in that locker room. Because he has to be, this is the guy is the leader of your team, doing stuff like this. This is one of the reasons why the NFL, not the only reason why, but one of the reasons why the NFL for so long really didn't want the black man to be the quarterback of a team. Stuff like this. Your quarterback can't do stuff like this. As the leader of an NBA team, you are the quarterback. You are the face of the franchise. You have to be the president. You have to walk with a certain level of decorum. You just do.
And on this show, on national television, there's you associated with police. Think about that for a second. And then ask yourself, is it really, really worth it? You know the answer to that, bro. It's not worth it. You're a superstar basketball player. You represent your organization. You represent your family. You represent your city.
Stephen A. Smith is talking like, it's like he's talking directly to Ja Morant. You're not his father, man. Ja Morant has a father in his life. Brothers, Ja Morant has a father. His father's at every single one of his games. I mean, I just don't get it. His father, you have to ask yourself, when your son is doing stuff like that, where did you go wrong? Where did you go wrong as a father for your son to he should be more mentally made up? I don't get it, dude. Why are you making these type of decisions? Like, he didn't even come from a bad background. It's just he's obsessed with gang culture, hood culture. Brothers, we got to be on point when we raising our children. We have to be on point. Otherwise, stuff like this happen, man. They will become a product of their environment. Even if you raise them up in a functional manner, in a functional way, stuff like this can still happen.
You've got to be mindful of all of that. It's never off. And so many times we don't tell these players this. NBA has off-duty police officers. They've got connections with the FBI. They got connections with everybody. The NBA knows what you're doing. They know who you're doing it with. They know where you are.
I like that, Stephen A. He said they got connections with the FBI. They got the connections with intelligence agencies. They know everything you're doing. Everywhere you be at, who you be with. They know what's going on. These owners are billionaires. Like, dude, of course they have connects. You're dealing with a league that generates billions of dollars. Of course they have connects. Of course.
They know how you're conducting yourself at all times. Don't think they're not watching. They're always watching. And when I get upset is that all of us, Jalen's from the streets of New York, Detroit, I'm from the streets of New York City. You know, we know this kind of stuff. We know the kind of things that people fight just to protect the few dollars they have. What do you think an organization is going to do?
It looked like Mike Wilbon is ready to speak. I mean, he got something to say. He look
to protect their multi-billion-dollar investment. They will spare no expense. They will do whatever they can. So I want him to be mindful of that, be aware of that, understand that you're in a different stratosphere. You got to conduct yourself properly. I'm going to say it to his boys as well. I had the pleasure of meeting them in Dallas this summer. I think good dudes, hearts in the right place, they mean them no harm, but you got to step up and be protective of yourself and be protective of him by the way you conduct yourself. That laser that was allegedly pointing at the Indiana Pacers, you can't have stuff like that coming on. You can't have stuff. And last but not least,
Stephen A. Smith, this is a byproduct of a much larger issue, that being the black community, what we call our culture. Just calling it what it is, honestly. Just that's the only way I can say it, man. At the end of the day, gang banging, rah-rah hood stuff is promoted heavily in the black community. Black women are attracted to it in the black community. Black men think that's an acceptable way to conduct themselves in the black community. It's to the point where there's a subculture in the black community where a lot of black people associate masculinity with being hood. They associate big toughness with being gangster and being hood. They associate The ability to satisfy your woman in the bedroom with being hood. Oh, you ain't hitting it right. Oh, a hood dude gonna hit it right. Like, that's what's all associated with these things. There's everything. The hood dude has so many positive things associated with him. Such a negative, toxic human being has so many positive things associated with them. We have to do a better job of demonizing the hood, nigga, and stop associating all these positive attributes and characteristics with the hood guy. Because as long as we do that, we're going to continue to have problems like this. Ja Morant's still in his early 20s, man. He still is very impressionable. It takes a while for black men to grow up in this society because of that hood mentality. On top of the fact that the vast majority of black boys spend the majority of their childhood obsessing about making it to the NBA. And the vast majority of black boys don't make it to the NBA. So they get 18, 19, 20 years old. Now they have to reevaluate their life and say, what do I want to do with my life? Because I haven't been thinking about what I wanted to do with my life all this time. That's why the black woman is so much ahead of black men. It's not that she's smarter or more mature. It's the fact that she is on path to do what she wants to do from the time that she's in her early teens. She already knows what she wants to do. She has realistic goals and expectations. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. I want to be XYZ. I want to own my own daycare. I want to start my own business doing this. That's how the black woman is thinking, and that's why they're able to elevate faster than the black man. Because they're actually thinking about a realistic future, whereas the black man is still thinking about a dream of making it to a pro sports league. And when that doesn't work out, he spends the next 3 to 4, maybe 5 years of his life trying to be a rapper. Now here he is, 25 years old, hasn't sold a song, doesn't have a view on YouTube. Now what? Stuck. You got 2, 3 kids. Wasted your life. Nothing to show for it. Then around 30, 35 years old, then you start thinking on a higher level, and then you get your problems together. This is the problem, man. This is the problem. Unfortunately, Ja Morant has a child. No black boy, black man should have a child at 18 in this society. No. At least 25. You should be at least 25 years old. At the very least 25 years old. There's no way. For one, you got to have yourself together financially. And at 18, you're not going to have yourself financially. In Ja Morant's situation or circumstances, he does have himself together financially. But in general, you're still not at the maturity level at 18, 19 years old to be having a child. 20 years old to be having a child. You too focused on kicking it and clubbing, as you see Ja Morant is doing. Your life is too much about the party at 18, 19 years old. Brothers, we all been 18, 19. Most of us. For those of us that have been 18, 19. When you first get out of high school, or if you go to college or whatever, you're trying to party. You're trying to kick it every night. That's what you're trying to do. You're thinking about hoes all the time. That's what you're thinking about. You want to kick it. You want to party. You want to get you some little coochie. That's what you're trying to do, man. You're going to make some of the dumbest decisions you ever make in your life at 18, 19 years old. That's why you shouldn't be having a child at 18, 19 years old. You have to go through life, make those dumb decisions so you can learn from those dumb decisions, not make them again. And when you're around 25 years old, your brain is fully developed according to science, then you can think about having a child. At the very early, that's at the earliest.
His dad, to T. Morant. Nothing but love and respect for you, sir. You are his daddy.
Ja Morant's a grown man. I don't want to hear nothing about his dad for real. When I talk about his dad, I'm really just talking about his overall upbringing. There's nothing T. Morant can say to Ja Morant right now. There's nothing he can say. Ja Morant is a grown man. Grown man. He is a child. This is not no little boy. I mean, people trying to cast the black man as a little boy. Ja Morant is not a little boy. He is not no little dude. He is not a high schooler. He's a grown man, paying his own bills, taking care of his own responsibilities, bro. That's something I do not get. Do not coddle this man. He is a grown man. Anybody else in his situation, y'all would not be coddling. The regular Joe Blow out here that goes to their job, or their job or their employer finds some video like this, they're getting fired. Nobody's gonna cast him as a sympathetic figure. Do not cast Ja Morant as a sympathetic figure, and do not bring up T. Morant. This is Ja Morant. He made a bad decision, and once again, we gotta learn from our bad decisions. I'm glad he's gonna get a second chance, Because thankfully in life, sometimes we get second chances. In life, we make bad decisions, and we need second chances. I've made bad decisions, and I'm glad I've got second chances. I'm sure other brothers out there would agree with that. But in general, Ja Morant is a grown man. You are a father. You are not just a man. You are a father. You have to think about that for a second, man. He's not a regular black man. He's a father, man. So you need to be setting an example for your daughter, for your children.
Not his friend, his daddy. I'm not saying you can't be friends, but you're his father.
Everybody notices that. Everybody notices that T. Morant and Ja Morant seem to have more so of a friend relationship, friend rapport with his son. And that's pretty much all he can be at this point in his life. I mean, he can't. What else is T. Morant going to take? All he can do is just try to be cool with his son, close with his son, and just be supportive of his son, man. His son taking care of him probably for the most part. Just in general. Like, what else is he going to do? I mean, he can't say much to his son. Ja Morant has to learn things on his own at this point in his life. T. Morant is already, whatever he's messed up at as far as raising Ja, hey, it's over with. And quite frankly, T. Morant, he did his job. He got his son to the NBA. So I can say all I want about what he did wrong, and Stephen A. Smith can call him out about, oh, you're his father, not his friend. He can say all that. At the end of the day, Ja Morant is in the NBA, and he was a number 2 overall pick. Ja Morant is a superstar caliber player in the NBA, and probably will win an MVP at some point in his career, and probably will win a finals at some point in his career if he locks in and focuses. So, hey, I'm gonna say all that. T. Morant did his job.
And so when we see this kind of stuff going on, all of y'all get lumped in because it ain't just a 23-year-old Ja Morant.
23. Brain ain't even fully developed yet. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't finish finally developing until you're 25. Your prefrontal cortex it affects your decision making and your intuition and things of that nature. A lot of those things don't fully develop until you're 25. He still has 2 or 3 more years of development, brain, mentally, psychologically, neurologically, before he is truly an adult. Then, after you fully become an adult, mentally and psychologically and neurologically, then you have to learn life a little bit more after that. Because I promise you, there's very little wisdom that Ja Morant has been acquiring. I bet you Ja Morant's not sitting there reading books about history. I bet he's not reading the Bible and stuff like that. He doesn't have to. He's just living life at this point. So this slows down your development. When you're an entertainer like that, man, it slows down your development. It slows down your growth. It slows down your maturity.
That needs to protect himself. It's all of you who love him, who want to protect him, who wishes for the best for him.
Bro, Ja Morant is a grown man, Stephen A. Smith. You're a grown man. He gonna do what he wanna do. It's not the job of others to protect him. It's not the job of others to protect him. He has to protect himself, and he has to make better decisions. I'm not even gonna blame the people around him. Ja Morant chooses who his friend group is. He dictates who his friend group is. Honestly, if you look at a guy like Michael Jordan, man, in that documentary, a lot of the people he was around were older. Get you a veteran presence, man. Be around older guys, but once again, you have to mature before you can get to that level. You have to mature. He hasn't gotten out. He has to get all that partying out that system, get all that drinking out that system. He has to get all that piping all these broads, all these different females, random females out of his system. He has to get that out of his system, man. That's what you do when you're in your early 20s and you an entertainer. Brothers, come on now. Let's keep it a stack with each other, man. In your early 20s, if you were a high-level figure, millions of dollars, and come on, man. You about to be piping everything you can see. Everything you see. Everything you want, you about to go get it. Let's be honest. That's what Ja Morant's doing right now at this point in his life. You living the life. You living the dream. You get to hoop. You get to play on national television. You get to be with the baddest, coldest woman on earth. I mean, you living life, man. So, hey, he just got to get this stuff out of his system, man.
You have an obligation to look out for him too. Do it.
He listens. There's thought there. And so when I hear this, when you see these stories, and we started hearing about this in the Washington Post a while ago, and then what happened overnight, you're thinking, okay, what in the world is the plan here? Whether it's him, his boys, I don't know, his associates, the people close to him with the team. What's your plan? Is this your plan? You think this is going to accomplish something? You've got a team, no team ever wins with this. Don't equate this to something like, oh, the bad boy Pistons.
No, and I agree with that 100%, Michael Wilbon. Thank you. No team ever wins with this thuggish, rugged bone mentality. You're not going to win being a thug, dude. You're going to get knocked out in the second round and humbled real bad because you walking around all confident. I understand all that, but there's a different level of confidence. The Golden State Warriors, you got Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, bro. They grew up in two-parent households, grew up relatively rich in affluent neighborhoods. They lived a good life. They dogging people. They dogged Waukesha for real last year. Let's call it what it is, man. And they're not hood. That's the problem in the black community. There's a sub-component in the black community where we think masculinity is being hood. The concept of being masculine is associated with the gang-banging thug dude. That's the personification of what true masculinity is. True masculinity is when you can go to jail and you can run shit in jail. What? That's what masculinity is, huh? If that's your definition of masculinity, you're destined for destruction. Stupidity. Downright stupidity.
No, that was on the court, almost theater. This is real life. First of all, if you are brandishing a gun, that can get you killed. Do we need to get more serious than that?
I mean, I don't really care about all that, Michael Wilbon. I don't. You sound like the old dude that's just running his mouth now.
So whoever's around him, what is your plan? What are you doing? You can't turn on TV for a half an hour.
Ja Morant doesn't even have to do all this stuff, man. A lot of these dudes, why are you even doing that? Like, I can understand like a regular dude putting a gun out on his story so he can get the attention of some girl or something like that. But you famous, like, bro, I mean, you don't even have to do all that to get females. It's easy for you to get females. You Ja Morant. I mean, why are you even doing this? You have an NBA YoungBoy fantasy, clearly.
Without seeing Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley and Steph Curry and LeBron James, the faces of the league over a 40-year period among them, not to even mention Michael Jordan. Do you know what's at stake? Do you know the tens, hundreds of millions of dollars that are available to you and the opportunities available to you if you are the face of the league in good standing? Do you not?
Ja Morant can't be the face of the league. He cannot be the face of the league, especially not like that. I don't think the league wants him to be the face of the league if he's going to be doing stuff like that. Honestly, I mean, I think the face of the league is more than likely going to be Giannis. I just don't think that anybody can stop Giannis. I really don't. I think they want Luka to kind of be the face of the league. I think they do, Jokic and stuff like that. But I think that Giannis is just the best player in the NBA, hands down. I just think Giannis just needs to work on his skill set a little bit more. If Giannis had even some of the skills of Jokic, I mean, Jokic's game is so polished and well-rounded. If Giannis even had some of those skills, Giannis would become greatly elite. I mean, that's the only thing Giannis needs to do, man. He just needs to go into the offseason and just work on some of his, his skill set, not his power and his explosiveness and his dominance. He's the most dominant player in the game, but Jokic is by far the most skilled player in the game. And I think that's a very interesting matchup. Who's going to win? Is it going to be dominance or is it going to be skill? And I think that would be a very good finals matchup. It would show us a lot as well.
See that? Do the people around you not see that? And so
the niggas around him probably the same age as him. What do you mean? Like you hang out with your peers. Brothers, when you 20 years old, you don't want to hang out with dudes that's 29, 30 years old. You want to hang out with people that you can relate with. And the people that he relates with see nothing wrong with what he's doing, apparently. I mean, let's call it what it is, man.
I'm angry, Greeny, because I also think about this embrace of thug life. and how it disproportionately affects our communities.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, and that's a huge problem. I'm sorry, brothers, but a lot of these dudes, man, this is why we need our own judicial system. We need our own judicial system so that we can create our own laws. And once we create our own laws and our own code, then we can create our own police system, and we can decide what to do with all these hood niggas. I'm just calling it what it is. They have got to be exterminated. They have to be. They have to go, man. They got to get up out of here. They got to, man. Because they're the problem. They're the problem. And the problem is there has to be a cultural reset for our people. Because like I just said, we associate masculinity with being a hood dude. We associate the ability to satisfy your woman properly in bed with being a hood dude. We cannot flourish as a people if that's what we think. We cannot. Let's call it what it is, man. You know, I definitely agree with what Mike Wilbon is saying, man. We need our own judicial system so that we can remove these people, and we can figure out what to do with these people on our own. Anybody wearing a bandana, you gotta go. Even though our people have been wearing bandanas for centuries and really thousands, that goes back thousands of years. There's nothing wrong with wearing a bandana, but what it's associated with today is hood culture. Everything hood has to go. Anybody sagging their pants, citation. Here's a fine. You wearing a chain, that chain, gotta go, fine. Yeah, I'm just calling it what it is, man. Oh, you driving that type of car, fine. Oh, you playing your music too loud, that's a citation. Like we have to create our own guidelines, our own parameters within our community. The law code has to be created for us, by us. That's one of my problems with politics, man. A lot of people talk about getting into politics, man. Understand something. In politics, the laws are created for you, but not by you. Think about that for a second. For you, not by you. They're not truly meant to benefit you. The law code, they want to keep, there has to be a slave class, a servant class in any society. Look throughout history. There has always been a servant class, a slavery class, or a lesser class. And that class of people is the foundation of society. It truly is. Quite frankly, all throughout history, we as a people have been the foundation of any major society. Any major empire across the earth, whether it be the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Egyptian Empire, we, the Babylonian Empire, the Persian Empire, we have been the foundation. If you have our people of some form of captive state, by proxy, you will elevate to being the king of the earth, the rulers of the earth. Our people are worth our weight in gold, but our people have to understand that by actually acknowledging who we really are. Simple.
Yes.
Whether it's Queens, Detroit, South Side of Chicago, it disproportionately affects black communities.
And a lot of those people that grow up in those environments, well, obviously there are diamonds in the rough. There are people that can transcend their environment for sure. But a lot of those people in Chicago, just calling it what it is, a lot of them just almost have to be just completely wiped out of existence almost, because there's nothing you really can do for the vast majority of those people. Not all. There are good people in Chicago. There are people that actually want to be productive members of society in Chicago. But in general, a lot of those people have to go. A lot of those people in Chicago, man, they so mentally, they are so messed up. People having babies at 15, 16 years old in Chicago, that's very unfortunate, because now you just continuing that generational curse of hood rat being passed down. The hood rat culture, the hood rat mindset mentality is a disease that is plaguing the black community. And it's been doing it since the removal of the father. And now, even when you have fathers in the home, they still don't know how to be fathers. They're not real fathers. They're just a stand-in. They're just a fill-in. They're just there to give the woman some type of sexual gratification when she needs it. Occasionally some type of financial assistance. That's it. They're not really teaching a child nothing, man. A lot of these dudes don't know what to do as a father. They don't know what to do as a parent. They don't know what they are doing.
maybe Adam Silver's going to have to talk to some other people in and around his office. This is serious. This can't be a light touch because you're a player.
I think I'm very much thankful that Mike Wilbon is speaking in the tone that he is speaking in because it's necessary. Very much necessary. He needs to speak just like this and say it just like this. I appreciate this, man. This panel has black men, 3 black men. We need to take the time to appreciate the NBA Countdown crew. 3 black men. I'm very much appreciative to that. That's one of the reasons why I watch this show, man. It has 3 black men speaking. You're not going to find this too much, man. You are not. Love it, man.
Commissioner. I thought about Jalen Rose, and it almost brought me to tears earlier today because our dear friend, one of the many reasons I love Jalen, that had nothing to do with basketball, is that Jalen Rose has dedicated his personal life to secondary education in formal and informal ways, dedicated his personal wealth and resources. People don't know this about Jalen. We know it. Jalen has dedicated himself in Detroit and his academy to eradicating this kind of garbage.
There's nothing Jalen Rose can do to do that. For one, I mean, Jalen Rose married Molly Karam. Like, first of all, if you really care about the black community, you would be marrying a black woman, Jalen Rose. Call that out. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that. Hey, Molly Karam, if you think she fine as hell, fine. You want to knock her down, I understand. Cool. But in general, bro, like if you really, really about that life and really want to change the black community, bro, you're gonna marry a black woman and you're gonna raise up that black son or that black daughter that you have with that black woman in a proper way, in a functional way. We have to raise up more constructive minds, brothers. The problem is a lot of these people in Chicago and you know, Chicago not the only hood in America. Really, all these hoods across America. You got Detroit, Chicago, everywhere. Just any black area, highly predominantly black area for the most part. There's gonna be a hood culture that exists for the most part anywhere. But in general, a lot of those people being raised in these hoods and these ghettos across America, they're raised up with a destructive mindset and a destructive mentality. When you have a destructive mindset and mentality, you destroy everything around you. When you have a constructive mentality, you build up everything around you. So we need to raise up our children to have constructive minds. When you have a constructive mind, you look at problems and you think of ways to solve them. When you all have a destructive mind, you look at problems and you look at ways to add to them. I'm going to create a worse problem. I'm going to create a bigger problem. Now, it's going to take a mathematician to solve these problems that exist within the black community. And at this point, it ain't even worth solving. Only way to solve it is by getting rid of the problem and starting over from scratch. It really is at this point, man. There's nothing you or I can do. All we can do is raise up constructive members of society, and when the time comes where the Most High renders judgment on this societal structure and renders judgment on the reprobate portions of our people, that we make sure that we raise our children up to be the opposite of those reprobates. Raise them up to be constructive, functional, so that when the transition occurs, they are ready mentally and spiritually. That's all we can really do, brothers. This is all prophecy, honestly. There's a portion of our people that are meant not to get it. There are a portion of our people that are meant to be at a lower level destitute state. There's a spiritual curse that is on them, a spiritual plague that is on them. And it's unfortunate, but everybody is not going to make it. Not. They're not. But back to the Jalen Rose concept in general, man. Dude married Molly Karam, so he's not really doing that much for the black community doing that. Just calling it what it is. Being an activist in your community and being charitable in your community, that's very good. That is very good. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that you can do is raise up your daughter properly. And quite frankly, you were married to a feminist, a super feminist at that. I don't get that. All that work he's doing means nothing if you're married to a Mediterranean woman that practices Islam. I mean, just call it what it is, bro. No go.
It's garbage, Greeny, the embrace of this. I don't want to hear it. Stephen A. eloquently talked about the whole beat of covering Allen Iverson. Hell, I was there for that beat when he was at Georgetown. And then not necessarily many John Cheneys and John Thompsons left
All the stuff that Allen Iverson did, man. I mean, all of it. Dude was incarcerated for a period of time in his life, bro. All the stuff Allen Iverson did, dude still was the #1 overall pick in the same draft, might I have you, as Kobe Bryant. Just saying. Just calling it what it is. Like the #1 overall pick. He was still #1. He still went #1 after all that stuff he did. This is why I do not take athletes serious. I don't care what they have to say about anything outside of their profession. I do not care. I do not give a damn. I do not care. What you have to say does not matter. You do not live a normal life at all. At all. Nobody gets the chances that you get. Nobody. That is not real life. That is not. You do not live a real life as an athlete. Nobody can get away with the stuff that Allen Iverson did and still be where he at and still make millions of dollars. Let's stop that. Let's stop that.
To shout from the mountaintops, stop this garbage. I mean, Jalen.
The garbage is not going to stop, man. He would have to change his whole. This is his upbringing. He would have to change. He is not capable of being a classy dude. He done already got his whole body tatted. Look, brothers, I understand dudes gonna get tattoos. You make decisions, you get tattoos, blah, blah, blah. But in general, he done already embraced the imagery and the personification of a rapper. He's already embraced that wholeheartedly. Like, this dude came into the league with a full sleeve of tattoos, man. Like, come on, man. These dudes nowadays are coming into the league with full sleeves of tattoos. You got dudes like Mikey Williams in high school, full sleeve of tattoos damn near, in high school. You got high schoolers with full sleeves of tattoos, man. Like, this is the type of societal structure we're living in. The black community, we need a cultural reset, man. The only way to cure the problem at this point is getting rid of the problem and eliminating the problem and starting over from scratch. Any person that's a problem, anything that's a problem has to be erased.
Does this every day of his life, has meetings and has issues and deals with teachers and principals and students and faculty and all these things. I don't even know how he does it. But this angers me. And the Memphis Grizzlies and the league starting above them, they better get a hold of this yesterday. This cannot go on. And the league is talking about it. Players are like, what are the Grizzlies doing? What are they doing?
Brothers, I'm going to end that. I'm going to sign out. I know Jalen Rose has something to say. I'm going to make that in another video. I don't want this to be too long. Sign out.